going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Victory Life Legacy Spotlight. I'm your host, owner, and founder of Victory Life, Dwight Vick. And today, we have a Vick family legacy member, a community activist, an entrepreneur, business owner, a leader in the community, someone I love and I'm so proud of. I rep her daily, weekly. I love what she's about, a proud mother, a proud leader. Teunsha Vick, how you doing?
Hello, good morning. I'm so happy to just be chatting with you today. Even though we talk, so often, it's good to do it on this platform. I'm so proud of what you created. This is what we do, create things for people and for ourselves. And I'm just honored to be here to talk with you this morning.
Yes, we connected when I was down. We were down there. Well, you're down there when I came home for Mike's surprise birthday party.
Yes.
And we took some pictures together, and I hugged you so tight. And I was just like, yo, I got to get you on.
I appreciate that.
I was like, I had your mom on. They got a ton of views. And your mom almost had me emotional talking about Ook. And I was just like, oh, come on, Tina. Like, I'm trying to, stay in my... When she got to talking, let me tell you something. You and her, when I'm on the phone with you or even when I hear y'all talk, y'all sound so much alike.
People say that all the time. People even come up to me sometimes with issues with city stuff, because she's a politician. Oh, Miss Tina, I don't like, it's not me, babe. I'm sorry. But I'm going to help out any way I can, but it's not me.
I mean, your passion, you share the same passion.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it, man. Okay. Your mom's the author.
Yeah.
We talk a lot when I post on social media. You post the Vick family legacy. Right. Our family, from Casey to Marcus to Tyree to Mike, myself, my son. The Vick family legacy is known for sports. However, your mom, yourself, and even with me with the Victory Life movement, I'm big into mental health. Yeah. You have a passion for life that you have been giving back for years.
Yeah, but, it was just it was not even a choice. Yeah. It was how I grew up. It was constant understanding and conversations that this life was bigger than just us, that you had to leave this world better than what you found it. And, our history goes back so far beyond my mom, beyond Uncle Casey and everyone. If you go look at great-great-grandpa Sam Vick, he was the real GOAT, owning all these properties in Wilson, North Carolina, building a waterfront real estate project in New Jersey, a black man. Mm-hmm. And he went on to be, I believe, a superintendent in Wilson, North Carolina. I follow the Wilson, North Carolina page. They talk about him so often. It is greatness in the bloodline. And it's up to us to keep that going, to build upon that, and to also use it to show other people there should be pride in your name. So often, I know you've been through this. You get a little bit of flack sometimes with, oh, they're only doing this because they're Vicks. No, you should want your name to mean something. And when I go and talk to teenagers and young men and young women, I always ask them, what was your great-great-grandpa's name? And often they don't know. Often they don't know. Because he didn't do anything. Because she didn't do anything. Your great-great-great-grandmother. They had no legacy. You should want your great-great-great-granddaughter to name her child after you because of the impact. And in my life and in my family, it was a deep understanding of community, of giving back. I always joke with people that I never got to sleep in on the weekends. Tina had us feeding the homeless, doing this, doing parenting workshops. That's why I can work a registration table like nobody's business, because sis had me in the field early. I'm talking 7, 8 years old. Welcome everyone, and it was just an understanding that we had to give back. And so often people want to ask me to come and talk to their daughters and, instill something of what I have in me in their children. But I am only who I am because of how I watched her. And if you don't choose to be successful in this life, or not financially, but just as a good human, as a good citizen, your children are most likely to follow you. There's no amount of motivational speeches that someone else can give. Your kids are watching what you do. So I'm who I am because of who I got to watch.
So powerful. Talk about growing up. Your mom wrote the book Growing Up Vick, but it talks about the family, our family, but also it talks about what she overcame. And that's her journey, her story.
Right.
T, talk about what you remember, because East End Newport News and Hampton, especially Newport News and 757 in general, you and I saw a lot of childhood trauma. We saw people that didn't make it. You've seen the documentary most recently, the critically acclaimed one about Allen Iverson, about his stuff. And people from up here in DC, I'm in the DMV, or even when I go and travel, they were like, man, it's really like that. You know, if they've never been, I'm like, yeah, it's real. But I was around it, but I didn't succumb to it because my mom and dad educators, my dad a preacher.
Yes.
You know, like really pushing, you're going to be involved. I mean, second service, I was doing the youth stuff and I played sports. So I saw it, but I saw I had friends involved in the game. How did you stay afloat? I know your mom was on you, but just your choices and what you saw.
Yeah, she wasn't very strict, but I made a choice very early on, because even though I was there, I was not going to succumb to my surroundings. And it's always been a joke in the family, as you know, that we don't know where T came from. I was always some kind of queen or princess in my head. I used to tease my mom, telling her I think I was switched at birth and all these things, because I just used to look around and know that this was not going to be my destiny. And not in a putting down kind of way, but I was not going to take on the fighting as a pretty girl and take on just any of the foolishness that was going on around us. And I always say, even though you're raised in the hood, my mother raised me. The streets did not raise me. And even, you know, she worked, the beauty is she worked with juvenile offenders most of my childhood. And so because she was a single mom, often we were at work with her after school and things like that. So I got to see the path. So I had those juvenile offenders saying, T, don't be out here fighting. Back then, girls were slicing faces. Don't be out here fighting. Don't do this. Now, because they're facing jail sentences as 14-year-olds. And so I got to grow up seeing exactly where that path is leading. And I always knew I wanted to be rich some kind of way. And I always knew I wanted to be successful. So I just tried to minimize anything that I could that would keep me off my path to success. And a lot of it is choices. And I feel like, too, being a female, sometimes we have it a little easier because, and you know, you have to walk around with an air about you, too. A lot of things that haven't happened to me is because people knew not to come near me with it. You know, you head up, chest out is how I've always been. So, and people talk about this, the data shows when offenders come and try to get at you with, you know, abusers try to come, they can see it on you a lot of times. And I just knew I was never going to look like the situation we were in. Were things tough? Yes, but my head was always up like I was Queen Elizabeth. And I've just carried that. I've just carried that with me through my life. So I just feel like, and then a lot of it is God. God puts his hands on, and I feel like our family is a chosen people. And he puts his hand and he puts his covering on you. We're probably reaping the benefits of a woman that was in the field praying, you know, and I feel very strongly, because I can even feel it sometimes when I walk into certain meetings. I feel another spirit take over. And I feel very connected to our family. And that's why I read up on it all the time. And I talk to my mother before meetings. I read Christopher Columbus's notes from the Indians when he came here to Virginia. And I know what people are willing to do to me in meetings. And sometimes I can feel probably great-great-grandpa Sam Vick come and take over to sit with me in those moments.
Oh my gosh. I knew this was going to be fun. I could listen to you talk all day. I'm sitting here like, oh, I got to interview you. I'm just sitting in captive. I'm serious. Like, this is powerful. I like that. Let me ask you this. You mentioned your mom and her influence, but I feel like it's a village, right? Are there others throughout your journey?
What?
Yeah, I know you can't name them all, but I just want you to maybe mention some, because I feel like you are success personified. You walk around the city with, and I know the queen vibe the family jokes you about, because always, like, even when you took your Victory Life picture, I mean, just the this
is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, but,
head up, chest out.
Yeah,
but that's the confidence that was instilled in me. Grandma Teunsha Vick, who has since passed on, when we walked in her house, she said, "Look at my babies, fluffy and brown, fluffy and brown." So it was just a confidence. My Aunt Brenda, Mike's mom, just looks at me and would always dress me in the cutest outfits and slick my hair. A black woman can slick a ponytail. Slicked my hair up and just, "You look so cute." My Aunt Diane, and I just put this on my wall in my office. My Aunt Diane said, who also has passed, if you always know how to answer a phone and always can type, you'll always have a job. And a lot of people don't get that little type of advice, right? Mm-hmm. Even though it might be just typing and answering a phone, which people are down these days because everybody wants to be the boss and everybody. But those little skills got me in rooms that I couldn't imagine, got me in positions, running offices, running teams that I couldn't imagine, just typing and answering a phone. That helped me. There's been so many women in my path, and I'm thankful that it's been so many women in my family, because I grew up with 4 aunts and I grew up with bigger cousins that were able to pour into me and protect me. But also I got into my career field very early. I left here at 18 and went out to Baltimore, Maryland to get into hotel sales. And the older women that worked in those offices taught me everything, not just about the job, but about how to navigate corporate spaces, about how to navigate politics. That's when I first really got into politics, because the owner of our hotel was very into political parties and everything. But they just showed me how to navigate. So I've been very blessed. And I just said this recently, that everyone that I need is in my phone. And I thank God for that every day, because so many people don't know where to turn. And now at 40 years old, I try to be that for young women and men coming up in corporate spaces and entrepreneurial spaces. I'm very open with my successes, but mostly my failures, because like Jay said, Hov did that. So hopefully you don't have to go through that.
I love that. Ooh.
Yeah, so I don't want people to have all the fight and trials. My mom says this all the time, every generation should get better. We shouldn't keep starting from scratch. And so that's why I work like I do, to hopefully my boys can start off with an upper hand.
You mentioned politics, and that was a bar right there. You mentioned politics. Has anybody ever come up to you and said, "Hey, yo, T, you remind me of Jasmine, the politician"?
But I get it, because we just fussy ladies and we want to do what's right. And people don't understand that's not welcomed a lot of times in corporate spaces and in politics especially. People still are in the age, even in 2025, where they want women to sit down and be quiet. And I always tell people I was forced into entrepreneurship, because when you have an opinion and you're a dark-skinned woman with, nappy hair and all this kind of stuff, people are not welcoming to your type of personality. And that's okay. And I fuss at my mom so often, saying, "You should have been teaching me how to be, cooking and cleaning." And she says, "Girl, I knew who you were early. It wasn't going to work for you. So I knew I had to make you hardworking, because nobody's going to deal with you in that mouth." So it worked out for the best, I guess.
It did. It worked out. And you are an inspiration, and you're also passionate, and you're not afraid to fail.
No.
I think that's the one thing I love about your journey, is that you've never been afraid to fail, but you inspire. Mm-hmm. When you talk about walking in those boardrooms, I want you to extend the point about this. I've learned a lot from my wife, especially during COVID, because it forced us all to sit down.
Yes.
And we had some deep conversations. And she was telling me about the differences between black men and black women in general, and what black women go through.
Oh, yeah.
And the challenges. And I, as much as I'm very empathetic and I try to be aware, it was very educational and insightful. She talked about how it's a struggle, because you have the macro and microaggression, or what you're perceived as. Your journey and all the different things you do, how hard is it? Like, I know you're a woman of faith, but like, just dive into it, because I'm always looking to learn. I had no idea, even though
it's exhausting. It's exhausting, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Really?
Because absolutely.
Okay.
And I'll give you this example, and it's about me, but kind of me adjacent. People come up to my mom when she and I are together or separate and say, because she was a single mom, how did you raise her? Right? Because she's a single mom. That's what they're getting at. Because their kids are heavily on drugs, with 2-parent households, with mansions, with all this kind of stuff. But it's the foundation and those hurdles that we overcome that create the type of fruit that we bear. And I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy, but I love when I walk in and people kind of look at you up and down, wondering why you're there, thinking that you're about to take notes, and you end up opening up the meeting or running the meeting, or once the secretary does introduce everyone around the table, you can see everybody's face kind of say, Even at the doctor's office recently, the lady said, how many pregnancies? And she was not a woman of color. And I said 2. This was a new practice. And she said, how many children do you have? I said 2. And she said,
what?
Yeah. So it's all those little things. Right. And so it's everywhere. It's just not at work. It's everywhere. When I'm, especially when my babies were little, when I would have them in the basket with me, people would look at me, then look down at my hand. That was before my divorce, so I had a big rock. And I'm like, yeah, So it's just all of these little things, but I just have the mindset that I'm going to always prove people wrong. And when you're in spaces that I've been welcomed in because of my work, once I start talking, they see while I'm there. And so, regardless of what your preconceived notions were prior to meeting me, you know that I'm about my business and that I do what's best to increase revenue, increase practices for every space that I come into. So that's my superpower. I like that you're underestimating me. It does get exhausting, but honestly, if you wake up every day dwelling on, I wish they would accept me, what is that going to do? I'm just coming in, kicking the door in. That's just the choice that I made.
Yeah. You talk about the doors being closed and the doors being open. God has opened for you. I want you to touch on a little bit about perspective.
Right.
You've been a restaurant owner. You've been interviewed. You've been highlighted. You've received numerous awards and accolades.
Yeah.
But that hasn't come without struggle. So I just want you to touch on one of the biggest things besides your children that you're proud of career-wise, but also a tough life lesson that, not a mistake, but something you had to overcome, or a difficult challenge that you maybe didn't go the way you thought it would be. Just for perspective.
Both of those things are the restaurant, because that was something that I had zero experience in. I found that location. I drew out the plan on my paper and put it on my refrigerator. And I read a book called Restaurants for Dummies. And then I opened.
What? What?
So the power in that, to see something go from your mind to in your face. And the message in my head was always the message that was always in our office growing up: find a way or make one. So that was just the choice. It did not, I could say it didn't go as I wanted it to, but everything that happened with it stretched me so much, and I grew so much from the experience, from opening to choosing to close it down. And so I just can't say I regret any of it. But it was a tough, because I come from an honest family, an honest, situation. And I tell people all the time, you get into the restaurant world, you don't know that people will steal everything from you. The customers, people don't take it as theft. You take every ketchup bottle at every restaurant that you go to, you're stealing from the small business owner.
Absolutely.
Taking 50 napkins when you only need 2 because you need some for your car. You're stealing from the small business owner. And unlike corporate restaurants, that directly affects me being able to feed my children, my bottom line. And, I'm used to an office space. So 5 o'clock, people leave. But in restaurant spaces, you have to make people leave because they'll try to get extra hours and just kind of stay out your way roaming around, and you budget for a $17,000 payroll and now it's at $25,000 because of what you didn't know.
Yep.
So it's all those things that, it was a crazy time, but I'm so glad I went through it because nothing rattles me now. I had so much bad coming. And when we talk about perspective, people just, her family probably gave her the restaurant or gave her the money, and I got denied by 17 banks for business loan, and I had to do what I had to do. I flipped houses. I cashed out my 401k. I did everything to open that restaurant. And even, it was so funny, one day, this young lady posted about needing a speaker. And I'm telling you, like 50 people tagged me. And I messaged her and I said, hey, I see people are tagging me in your post. I would love to chat with you about the speaking opportunity. Well, we're looking for people with a little more struggle, is what she told me. Because the perspective is, I've been handed things. But they don't know, they failed my restaurant 25 times because my mama is Tina Vick. They audited me in the first 2 months when you're not supposed to be audited in the first 5 years because of who my mother is. And people come into your space, they hate me because of Mike, they hate me because of my mom, they hate me because of my own professional, career. So we're catching it from all sides. But the perception is, oh, we've been handed everything, and that's just not the truth. It's 10 times harder. It's 10 times harder. Even when I ran for office when I was 28 for council. And the newspaper article, I won't name the newspaper because I don't want them to try to sue us. The newspaper article, because we had to get interviewed. All the candidates have to get interviewed. The newspaper article said, she's the best candidate, but that's too much power for one family.
Woo!
But it's never too much power when it's a non-black family. Because we've had several times throughout history, and definitely in Newport News, where families were served together. So, it is what it is.
I want to say this. I am so, I got a hoodie on, so you can't see my chills. You couldn't see them anyway. I'm getting chills because you said something, excuse me, that resonated with me so much, because I started Victory Life when I got cut by the Baltimore Ravens when I was in the airport for 7 hours without a way home. And I wrote it down, and God spoke to me, and then it came to fruition in 2017 and went live in 18. I did that by the grace of God, by previous life lessons. No one ever taught me how to do an LLC. I didn't know anything. And as close as Mike and I are, I never asked Mike. My mom and dad didn't give me money. They gave me prayers.
Yes.
But I was just like you. I had no idea. I had never been a business owner. I have degrees behind me, but they are in mental health and human services. So I really was just like, how do I do that? I didn't get a loan. I got turned down. There were a lot of people that gave me a lot of negative feedback that thought it was going to fail. And then when it began to ascend, it was like, oh, well, you're Michael Vick's cousin. Like, Mike, this is me. Yeah, he's with the Eagles right now. I'm doing this here in Northern Virginia. And people don't realize the times I would drive down to Lindsay Middle School or First Baptist or this church or this community center in D.C. and speak for free. And speak and pass out stuff just to get the name and the brand going. And also because I wanted to pour into the community. So
absolutely.
That's why I love and respect you so much, because I saw it from afar. and I was proud of you. I didn't know any of this is why we're doing your legacy spotlight. And I'm glad you have that perspective.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask you another tough question, because I'm telling you, I've learned so much from women over the last several years, especially since COVID. You are a mother. We talked about Tyree before we hit record on this episode. I text him all the time now. I'm so proud of him. He had a monster game against my Crabbers. But he had a great game, and they play on. But that's just one component of who he is. You talk about divorce, which is never easy. You talk about motherhood.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of balance that you must have, because your identity is not just you're a Black mother, you're a businesswoman, you're a leader. How do you balance that? How do you pour into your children and also make sure you hold them accountable, and you have to co-parent, and you're still working, and you have to feed the kids, and you have to call this person back, you got to commute, it's a lot. How do you handle that?
I won't say I balance it, because I don't. Every day. But how I handle it, every day is a fight. Every day is a fight. Especially when they were little. Thank God I made it to the teenage years. People talk bad about the teenage years, but I'm like, I feel like I made it over. I'm like, thank you, God. And I'm just blessed. Well, you know, a lot of your parenting starts very early. So that foundation that was laid for the boys, Tyree and Tyson, it happened so early on. So now the boys that you see, the teenagers that you see, is the harvest from the seeds that were planted when they were very, very young. They also grew up very confident, you know, little things. Their room is upstairs. Their rooms are upstairs in my home, and I have a first floor owner suite. And it's just little things in the morning. They coming down the stairs. Stop. How many stairs can you jump off? You know, just boy stuff, you know, in the backyard, jumping off of the trampoline into the pool. How high can you get? It's just because the more you try, the more confident the boys get. And keep in mind, I never wanted to be a boss. Everybody else in high school, senior year, in their senior books, they had their colleges and all that. I had Tyree's name written, was not pregnant. Tyree's name written. I had a wedding dress in there. I had groom's clothes. I wanted to be a wife and a mother. That is it. That is it. I never wanted to look at any profit and loss statements, do payroll. I never wanted to do any of this stuff. But how life has it, you know, like we say, we plan, God laughs. I had to develop into this person. But that also, I don't feel guilty about having to make the choice to become a businesswoman or become, like the girls are saying now, the corporate baddies, because it was forced upon me, and I knew because I wanted to always be the best mother. So when I had to face a situation where I had to go corporate, I wanted to be the best there as well. And so I just hope at the end of all of this that my sons know that everything that happened and everything that I did, it was all because I was always trying to get them better and make a better life for them. And I don't know if they'll see it now or as grown people when they have their own children or when I'm dead and gone. But I just hope that they know the sacrifices that Mama made were definitely for them, because I didn't want to do none of this stuff. So it's no balance. You know, it was sometimes when I had to, especially open up the restaurant, and especially when the restaurant got going, I was working 16-hour days. And then not only were we a full service restaurant, we became a food vendor for the shipyard. So I was in their breakfast and lunch inside the shipyard gates. So I was up by 2:30 in the morning, getting that food ready for breakfast, go serving breakfast, coming back home, getting them ready for school, taking them to school, working all day. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. And then, you know, having a co-parent and all of that kind of stuff. It was so tough. But, you know, Tyree's almost 18. Tyson is 14. So we've almost made it. So a lot of times people can dwell on their, the past and what you went through and are you doing this right? Your children just want to know they are loved. Because I'm always asking like, baby, Mom is so sorry I was gone. Can you do? He's like, they're both like, Mom, what are you talking about? Like, we love you. We know you love us. And my kids were and I had a beautiful, beautiful support system. My mom quit working summers 18 years ago when my nephew was born because she never wanted us to worry about summer camp, and she loves her grandchildren. She always wanted them with her. And I've just been blessed that way. I've been blessed that they have the kind of dads that they have, because it's sometimes a lot of time, and I was in affordable housing, so I know data. I don't speak feelings. I speak data that, a lot of female head households out here. And so a lot of women don't have the help that I was fortunate enough to have, and I'm forever grateful for that.
You talk about being blessed. As I mentioned earlier, my dad's, he's not even retired. He doesn't have his own church anymore, but he still goes around preaching.
Yeah.
I grew up in the church. I really understood the assignment when it came to my faith and purpose when I got to Virginia Tech. At first, I was just going to church, going to revival, and I was singing the choir. But I didn't understand. Too. I said my grace before I ate, but I didn't understand the power of faith and prayer. Yeah. You just mentioned affordable housing and being a mother, and you wanted to do that, but many people don't understand unless you have children, or maybe you even an aunt and uncle, when you talk about the long nights and early mornings, and sometimes how you got to make it work, the uncertainty, your faith and what God has done for you. Yeah. Just talk about that, like just how he has brought you through. I know you hear it in the songs, but he really has.
But when you become an adult, you really feel it.
Yeah, so talk about that feeling, because he has ordered your steps. So talk about it.
And that took a long time. Again, like you, we grew up going to church, going to revivals, all these things. When Mom took us to New Orleans, we had Pastor Bishop Brister. And he used to tell us, I've been to hell and back and still don't smell like smoke. But I'm listening to this at 11. But now at 40, I'm like, yeah, I've been to hell and back and still don't smell like smoke, because this life is going to take you through the craziest journey. And I went through a time in my early 20s, especially when I was getting divorced and everything, where I felt like very woe is me, right? And then now you get to a point in adulthood when you say, why not me? Because when you really get into your Bible and you see the greats and you see what God did, it was all the worst things that happened with Job and everything. Like, it was the worst thing that happened until when you got to the promised land. And so I'm not one of those people that believe that we won't reap any benefits here on earth and that is all for heaven. But I believe heaven, and I'm going to get a little heaven down here too. So God has I've just really gotten to a point where I can really see how he's kept me. Because once you start seeing other people and how we grew up, those that did not make it, or those that do look like what they've been through, I have to constantly get on my knees and thank God, because he's kept me. Most people wouldn't have been able to survive what I've gone through, trying to do things right as a girl from the hood, not get pregnant as a teenager, get married first, do all these things, go to work hard. People don't talk about that. People want to down people for getting on public assistance, especially currently in this climate. The abuse that I've faced in the workplace, I have always said I see why people just choose government assistance. Because when you are trying to get up every day and do what's right, I've had male counterparts throwing folders, throwing pins at me in a meeting where people are supposed to have decorum.
Wow.
I've had so much abuse, all the emails sent in red after 5 o'clock and just abusive behaviors that try to tear you down if you let it. And it's a song that has always kept me, He's Able, by John P. Key.
Yes.
Yeah, you just have to constantly put yourself in the spirit, in the space, because what I realize now is I'm expecting the bad now. Because when you chosen, the devil work harder. So I had a mentor of mine, Dennis Favors, who built the restaurant and built my mom's house, renovated my house, and he does all our real estate. He said, T, you have to expect the bad, but wake up and put on the full armor of God, because you know it's a war. No, so opposed to me saying, oh, I hope it's going to be a good day, and I hope that this doesn't happen, I'm expecting, because God know who I am. He know I'm ready to go to war. He know I can handle it. So much that I've been through, most people would have folded. And that gives me the confidence to go out and fight every day.
Yeah. And you out here fighting, and I love it. Talk about some of your projects that you're involved in right now. I know when I talked to you a month ago after the party, we will coordinate this, and we were talking about, you were like, oh, I'm so glad you called me because I just finished. You were doing something with young ladies. I don't know, you were somewhere.
We have Women's Empowerment Network. Okay. Where we help just women and girls in our community just try to find a different and a better way of life. Partnering them with job training, partnering them with education opportunities. And that started in 2009. Wow. Because when I was in affordable housing and, you know, mom doing her jobs, the calls we would get. And so often, and people say that this is wrong, but this is my fact. So often people are calling me when they're too far gone. And we said together, we have to catch these girls. We have to let them know that they are in charge of their lives. They are in charge of their fertility. You can't keep letting life happen to you and blaming everybody else, blaming the baby daddies, blaming the system, whatever. This is your life and you can take a hold of it. And so that's what started that. And then I took some time off after closing the restaurant. And now I am just doing consulting with Sunflower Outcomes, sunfloweroutcomes.com, because I know how tough it is for business owners. And partnering them with either capital, partnering them with just the systems, because that's where so many businesses fail, is lack of systems and lack of capital. Because, you know, people call me with $10,000 with that and real estate, and I'm trying to transition all those business owners to become real estate investors, because that's where the real money is.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So so many people call me with $10,000 thinking they can open a business, and that's just not gonna do it. It's just not gonna do it. So often, you know, helping people create business plans, helping people see their real capital investment that is going to take to run these businesses. It makes people say, well, maybe I should do something else, or maybe I should put that into real estate. And looking at you for the person you are. Do you really want to open a restaurant? Do you want to work 16-hour days? Do you want, or that same investment, we can buy an apartment building, use that deposit for an apartment building, and now you're just collecting rent once a month and dealing with maintenance issues and tenant issues, opposed to it being 16 hours a day of headache and stress. And I'm just really trying to show, particularly Black women, the gifts that they have and how they can use that to consult on their own or get into career fields that really nurture them. I don't believe you have to hate your job. I just believe, you know, that there's something for everybody. And once people find out what they're really good at, what feels so natural, and I had to even sit with myself and say that I was mad at God, like, why people always calling me for help? Then I'm like, oh, people keep calling me for help. Now you just got an invoice. So, because that's what, you know, that's what I'm good at. That's what feels natural to me. And that's what God wants me to do. He wants me to help people. And when you get burned in this life, you know, with failing relationships and businesses and jobs, it can turn your heart cold. And you can say, I'm not helping anybody. But God gonna find a way to bring you back. It can. Yeah, he's gonna find a way to bring you back to where you belong. And I'm grateful that he's done that for me.
All right. I want to ask you about, you mentioned, this is something, this is the fun part of this interview, this Legacy Spotlight. I'm on social media a lot, promoting and looking what's going on, and even just sharing some laughs and tripping. I want to ask you about your personal life, because there's certain people I check for every day, and there's some people I be like, I'm scrolling, they ain't talking about nothing. Yeah. When I see your Instagram and Facebook stories, I look at it. I'm going to watch, because you be laying in the bed, you be like, y'all, I was at the store today, or, you be by the pool, and I'm like, well, you're my cousin, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, you have a lot to offer. I have a friend that's a relationship coach, and I see how hard it is or how crazy it is for Black women dating.
Yeah.
I know this is not a dating show, but is there? Are you ever going to dive in? I mean, because you've been giving crazy stories about relationships or men coming up to you.
It's the craziest stuff that happens. Yeah. No, I have respectfully bowed out. I am good. Yeah, I have no desire, and I just think that maybe God has a bigger purpose for my life, and I'm supposed to be doing something else. So I cannot take the distractions. I can't take the negativity. People want to get close to the sun, but then get mad at the burn. So I am this vibrant person, and then you get near me and want me to be dark, and that's just not who I am. And the other downside of being a Vic is people are coming at you trying to get something, and I've been dealing with that my whole life. Mike went to the pro in 2001, and Marcus and I were in high school together. The girls were trying to befriend me to get to Marcus, and guys were trying to get near me, and that happens to this day. Every time there's a game at Norfolk State, I have some guy saying he misses me. If you think you coming in the box with us, you are sadly mistaken. And that's why I'm.
Wait, hold on, cuz. Hold on, cuz. Hold on. They say, they be like, "Hey, T, I miss you.
And the game started at 2. It's 1:15. You don't think I know what's happening? And then when you are an entrepreneur woman or a corporate woman, people trying to get money from you. And that's why I have to work on my weight loss. I just joined Weight Watchers yesterday because I'm fat, but not give a man money fat. You know what I mean? So I have to change my appearance because people are getting confused. And I don't want them to be confused by that any longer. So yeah, I have respectfully bowed out, and I know there's some good men out there, but I'm just no longer willing to sift through all the bad to get to
I don't blame you.
I have a full life. My mom is 62. And I'm 40. I probably won't get another 40 with her. So I want to use the time to cultivate and just create beautiful memories with my mother. My sons are embarking into manhood, and I want to, you transition from a parent to kind of a coach, and I want to be there for them. I have beautiful friendships that I prioritize, and I just like, something's wrong with me. I come home so often from a long day, and I'm like, I can't imagine if a man was in here bothering me. I need to make my cocktail and cook my dinner and play my music and just relax. And, I don't know what he's going to... People say if God brings him... I don't even know. Like, God got to come down to say, hey, girl, look, this is him. But I'm about to live. I spent my first, early career. I got into the workforce at 18 years old, and I spent that time trying to grow and be somebody. And this next 40 years, I want to have a blast because I always used to, I never let myself go on like vacations and things like that because I hadn't hit my first million yet. So I didn't feel like I deserved anything, and I'm no longer going to punish myself by a monetary number. I'm going to live this life because it goes fast, and we only have one of them. So
that's so real.
To answer your question, no, I can't do it.
I love following you on social media, man, because you are entertaining. You're natural at it. But then when you talk about the dating stories, so then you'll put a post on Facebook, and I'll just be like, I wonder who she's talking about. It'll just be like, I am not the one, and you'll just give a little message.
One or the two. And people don't even believe.
Do you look at your phone?
People don't even believe, like, my good
Do you look at your phone when they text you and be like, are you serious? Do you show, like, are you serious?
I keep my re-receipts on. I want somebody to know I looked at it and didn't answer. I don't want people to be confused on anything that's happened. And, you know, it's so many women out here that want to be married and want to be, you go play with them. But over here, it's a strict program. And you have to act right over here. Little things. And when I tell my good male friends and family members about stuff that's happening, they're like, because when you're a good man, you don't know these kind of men that's out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't understand. It's like, for instance, a guy came to talk to me like 3 months ago. Came and said, oh, I don't have any kids. And 2 weeks later, oh, I got a daughter and 2 grandchildren. What? Excuse me? Then still texting me talking about I want to know what I did wrong. You hid your legacy, sir. Like, it's just craziness.
Oh my goodness. Nah, man. I can't relate, but I mean, that story sounds funny. I mean, you talk about, you know, we're related to Mike, you know, and he's an icon. I was just with him. He was up here in DC. I hung out with him, Elton Brown, Andre Kendrick, TP was, you know, Kiafa came.
We was there. I saw in the pictures.
Yeah. And it was a great time. And I was just talking to Mike, and there was about 8 people, because it was late. I got, you know, I live only 35 minutes from where he was staying in the hotel. And there was like 8 or 10 guys waiting in the lobby that saw him we were in the bar area just at the table, you know, fellowshipping and kicking it. And they were waiting for him. Mm-hmm. And I know Mike and I talked about this a long time ago, and I know it must be tiresome, but at the same time, he has perspective like you. And you talked about when you and Mark were in high school together and how people were trying to get close to y'all. Your pride in being a Vic and your pride in being who you are, when you talk about Mike being in Norfolk State, taking on a huge challenge, just quickly, what are your thoughts about that? Because that's not easy.
He's a better man than me. That's but you know, with our family, too much is given, much is required. And he could have easily either stayed at Fox or retired altogether and been at home. But when you have a duty to this world, I truly believe that you have to answer the call. And I'm so proud of him embarking on this journey. I asked him to hire me. He will not do that because I'm a lot more fussier than he is with these players and all of that, and just setting the standard. But it's just what he has to do. I'm always confused when I hear grown people saying how they're bored. A lot of, you know, we are in a military town, so a lot of retired people, and it's so many kids that need us. It's so many young people that need us. It is your job to go and make this world better and make people better. Don't keep making, and people wonder why young people are so frustrated and they go into violence and they're going to, because nobody is showing them the way. And we can sit idle and keep talking about them and speaking negatively of our young people, but they are a product of us. If someone was helping, if someone was willing to get in the trenches with them, we could save so many people. A lot of kids, they come from 3 generations of problems, of crime, of issues. So it takes a special person. And when you are in the spotlight, like Mike, like my mom, you know, people come past my mama's house all the time because she lives in the neighborhood that we grew up in. We both built our houses here. And people, hi, Miss Tina Vick, did Mike buy you this house? And she's like, no, I own this real estate brokerage. And she'll go grab her real estate sign, Tina Vick Realty. And she said, you know, if you work or if you own a business, you can buy your own house. You know, it's when I first moved to my house, these little girls kept looking at me as I'm grocery shopping. And one day they stopped me. They was like, Miss T, because I introduced myself, how do you have groceries all month?
Whoa.
And I said, baby, if you go to work, you get a check every week, every 2 weeks, not just at the beginning of the month. We don't even realize the impact of you just going to work, buying a house. Kids are watching you. And it is our duty to give them the information, to give them job training. How many young boys that I see in my neighborhood when I go for my walks, 19, 20. Hey, baby, you know there's the Aaron Brooks Training Center down the street on 33rd Street. It is our duty. Because in their houses, often, nobody's talking about careers. Nobody's talking about goals. We were blessed to grow up with goal setting at the end of December and checking in with our goals in January and June. Most people aren't having those conversations in their house. You know, but it's your duty. So with Mike taking on these boys and the city of Norfolk, it's just something that is destined for him. And I hope it, you know, leads him to even bigger and better opportunities to always pour into young people.
I love it. And that's well said. And I told him, he called me when he was going to do it, and we had a long talk, and I was contemplating coming with him. He told me next time I got to come with him. But we had an honest conversation. I said, hey, listen, man, this is going to be one of the biggest challenges of your life. But I think you mentioned our family legacy. I think he's called just like you are, just like I am, Tina.
Absolutely.
And a lot of us, and Casey. I think it's just his gift. And you mentioned impact, and I got to tell you, T, you have impacted me in this episode. I knew this, man. I could probably talk to you all day. When I come home, we're gonna hang out.
Yes.
But I gotta tell you, man, like I'm just so inspired by you, and you inspire so many people. And I love the fact that you and Tina are in the trenches.
Yeah.
A lot of people try to impact from afar. They'll just do a donation, or they'll drive by, like in the 90s, you know, when you threw the newspaper on the steps. They want to help like that, where you are in the trenches. Like every time I see you, you're somewhere with a microphone, or you giving out this, you donating this, you running here.
And that's really nothing. You should see what we can't post. You know, like all the calls and all the emails, and, you know, people just, my Facebook is full of T, I need you. Or can you help me? Can you help me? My mom's the same way. And that stuff, you know, that's people's private moments. So I would never share that. I would never even share me feeding the homeless, you know, or helping people out. And it used to get frustrating, because what people don't see is, yes, people blow up our phones for help, but when it's time for my mom to run for election, we don't have any volunteers. But that doesn't take you away from the calling. You can't let that harden you and take that off of your destiny. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, I wanna ask you one last question, and then we can sign off. You talk about impact and legacy. You have a great story, and you're not even close to being finished. You talk about how you're focused on, you know, the journey and your passion and purpose. What words do you want to end this episode with, to share with the future Teunsha Vicks and all the ladies coming up in Newport News and Hampton and the surrounding areas? What do you want to tell them to stay inspired, to stay faithful, to stay on that track, on that journey? Because it's not easy. But just your final words and feedback.
Just go do it. So often we are, you know, having analysis paralysis. You won't know what you're good at, what you like, what you don't like, which is most important, until you go try things, until you go do things. So often we're stuck, and don't take a lot of people's opinions. You taking so many people's opinions is telling yourself that you don't trust yourself, and most importantly, that you don't trust God. Like you said, how God gave you that Victory Life message. I keep this notebook on my nightstand because God speaks to me in the middle of the night. He speaks to me early in the morning. So I have to be ready to write this stuff down, so I'll start working on it when I do wake all the way up. So just go do. Listen to God's word and go do. Go crush things. Go explore, go figure things out. So often, you know, even with love and things like that, you know, I'm not for it. But when my girlfriends call me, if you want it, go do it. Go on as many dates. Don't keep, I want to act cool. I don't want to act like I like. Go be. Go do, because life is going to life. And if something bad happens, if a business closes, if you lose something, you can go and build again. When you wake up, that means it's not over. So just go do.
And you've been doing it, and I love it. I love it. You've been doing it for a long time, and you're not close to being done. I thank you so much for joining the Legacy Spotlight. You are definitely living a legacy. I'm proud of you. I can't wait till I get home and holler at you. But I'm watching from afar, including the funny stuff and the funny stories. I love it when you go live or you post from you sit there sometimes. I said, man, she up here being raw and uncut, and I love it. You make me laugh, man, especially when I need a break from all the stuff I deal with. But
yes.
Thank you so much for repping our family and also being that inspiration in the hood, in corporate America, in suburbs, all of that, man.
Yes,
and
thank you.
For those watching, please continue to support Teunsha's Victory Life movement, her movement. Shout out to your mom, Tina. And for those watching, please subscribe and share and like this episode to see more great guests like T up here. And like I say every episode, wherever you go, no matter what you do, make sure you have a positive impact. You leave a great legacy. I'm owner and founder Dwight Vick. On behalf of Teunsha, we appreciate y'all for watching. Y'all take care and be blessed. Thank you.
Thank you.